and lift my chair.
Hey guys, welcome to Wall Street to Britain with me, Dave Shaw from the UK Phils, and of course, Alex Carr. Alex, how are you, buddy?
Hello, everyone. I was just fixing my chair. I apologize for that. I'm doing great, Dave. How are you?
I'm good. I'm good. January is nearly over, thankfully, because it felt like it's been going on for an eternity. Nearly into February, nearly into pitchers and catchers reporting, and spring training is on the horizon.
It's
And
very close.
I'm excited just for pitchers and catchers reporting. I need my baseball fix. I need the Phils to return. But in the meantime, the Eagles are holding us over pretty well right now, aren't they?
Look,
How about those birds? Yeah.
are you an Eagles fan now? Is that what's going on here? Are
Don't
you?
say now as if I never ever was. We
Well,
look,
as I recall, there was a moment there. You were what, an Atlanta Falcons fan?
I've,
Dave?
I flirted with the Falcons. You know, that was I was sort of into the Falcons before I went to the city, and then went to Atlanta for a game, and I don't know, just wasn't my sort of place, my city.
You
I don't
don't
know.
like going to the suburbs for sports games, Dave? That's not your favorite thing in the world?
Not Atlanta didn't grip me like nowhere near like Philly did. Nice people, hot, good food, but just nowhere like Philly. Didn't compare, and just didn't have that connection. It was nothing serious. It's just flirting. Nothing serious. I
Just
promise you,
flirting.
nothing serious.
Just flirting.
Um, but all aboard the Birds bandwagon right now. I'm not big into NFL like I am with the Phils, but I enjoy watching it on the casual because the Phils take so much of my time throughout spring and summer and autumn that I just like to just unwind and watch the NFL as a more of a enjoyer. Just no real hard rooting for a team, but the Eagles are absolutely flying right now. Alex, I can't really see past them. I don't want to jinx it, but they look mighty right now.
I really think that, and look, I'm not a professional football man by any means. I enjoy the sport. I'm not as tuned in as I am when it comes to baseball, but um, I do, from what I've seen of the Eagles, especially in the playoffs. I really feel like they're the team to beat, right? They're the team to beat. I
I
really feel
really
like this next game is going to be the real litmus test, right? Because you know San Francisco is always good. Their defense is always impenetrable. So it's
yeah.
gonna be really interesting to see what happens. I'm psyched. I'm really pumped up. I don't
Yeah,
get
I'm looking,
as
and it's a UK friendly time as well. I can imagine
oh
Pashank
yeah,
will
that's
be
true.
absolutely lit for it. If I could get back in the same night, I would definitely head down to Passyunk. But my NFL knowledge is slim, very 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 slim. But from what I've seen with the Eagles, which is quite a bit this year now, they're looking good. There's a lot of reason to be excited.
They're
And
fun to watch too. They're really
they're
fun to
really fun
watch.
to watch. I watched the other side, the Chiefs, who Mahomes got injured, but still managed to drag themselves a victory against the Jags. It didn't look that convincing. And then the Bengals, I don't know. I think the Eagles could beat any of those two.
You can't count either of those QBs out, though. That's what I would worry about if I'm the Eagles. You can't count either of those guys out. Joe Burrow and Pat Mahomes are both, they're pretty excellent. So, but yes, we are a pro Eagles podcast.
Absolutely.
I think we kind of have to be. So,
Absolutely. And the Sixers are tying everyone over as well. They're on a good bit of cracking game last night
thank
with
God,
Ben Simmons' return.
thank God.
So yeah, the Philly sports on fire right now, eh? The Flyers have picked up form. Although I got a lot of hate for the look, the scribble on the drawing was just in jest. I was meaning that Philly Sports Union, the Phils, the the Sixers, the Eagles, postseason teams. Amazing, magical seasons. Sixers could have that. That's what I was referring to. The scribbling of the Flyers out was just a bit of fun, and a lot of people took it very
Well,
seriously. So noted. I'm not against the Flyers by any means. It was just a bit of banter, a bit of fun. Tickets are out. Opening day secured. Cannot wait. Cannot wait. The countdown can officially begin. I got my tickets for Thursday and for
great.
Sunday. I'm buzzing. I'm absolutely buzzing. I can't wait. You gonna be there, Alex?
I don't know. I really have no idea. Now if I go to the ballpark, it's gonna have to be with my dad because I'm in New York City now. So
Of course,
I'm
yeah.
gonna be bird's eye view, and so hopefully, if my dad wants to go, I'll go with him. But if not, I'm chilling. I'm right here. I'll be watching home along with everybody else, and I'm gonna miss it. But I'm probably gonna go to. I'm probably gonna go to opening day at City Field.
Oh.
That is
Oh.
not to root for anybody, just to watch some baseball. But that might be something that I do. I know me and a bunch of friends might end up going that direction.
Alex is currently right in the heart of enemy territory.
Yes, I
Really,
am.
right in the heart of enemy
It's
territory right now.
scary. Mets hats
Uh
everywhere.
yeah, no, not for me. Not for me. There's enough of them here, actually. What has been happening? Scott Rowling, Hall of Fame. 7 years with the Phils. Now, this is before my time,
Mhm.
so excuse my slight ignorance on not being up to date with this, but 7 years with the Phils. Won the Rookie of the Year in 97, 98 Gold Glove, 184 games. You can see on the bottom of your screens, 559 RBIs, 150 home runs, and a career average of .282. Great stats. Controversially asked to be traded in 2022 to the Cardinals. So is
2022.
sorry, 2002. Yeah, yeah, that was some career he
A
had.
guy that retired yesterday just got into the Hall of Fame. It's
Yeah,
great.
2002, which slightly gave him a controversial and maybe slightly tarnished his career with the Phils overall. Now in the Hall of Fame, Alex Scott Rowling. For those who don't know him, fill in on the man.
Uh, if Mike Schmidt didn't exist, probably the best defensive third baseman in Phillies history. I mean, he could do it all. He was great. I mean, he hit for average. He had surprising amount of thump. And was an elite defensive third baseman. I mean, absolutely deserved. You look at the WAR total and you're like, yeah, this guy's a Hall of Famer. It's a no brainer. And I feel like that's kind of how we are, kind of how we're determining Hall of Famers these days. But you look at his career and it's a no brainer. It's a no brainer. He was an elite player for his entire career. Uh,
Yeah.
what 18, 17 years? Like
He had then had what 6 years with the Cards. Then he had 4 with the Reds. And I can't remember.
so, and like I can't remember how it's 7 years with the Phils. It says right at the side scroller down at the bottom of the screen for those of you watching says 7 years with the Phils. So that would be 17. So I mean he's so deserving, and I've seen a lot of people say like he only had one MVP award. What is this guy doing in the Hall of Fame? Like, come on, man. Like MVP awards are totally subjective, especially back in the late 90s, early 2000s. So it really is a well-deserved honor. But I will not rest until Todd Helton is in the Hall of Fame. I will not rest. You want to talk about one of the most deserving Hall of Famers on the ballot? It's Todd Helton.
You caught me off guard here, Alex. I didn't put his stats on. I saw him on the list.
You don't have to. You don't have to. But he wasn't a Philly. But
no,
just one of the greatest. And if Larry Walker, Larry Walker obviously deserves to be in. But if Larry Walker is, well, I guess that's not true. He was for a long time kind of given negative marks because he played in Colorado and still ended up being a Hall of Famer, thankfully. So Todd Helton deserves the same treatment, but I don't want it to take till his 10th year on the ballot. That would suck. So
yeah, I was glancing over Scott's stats overall. They're phenomenal.
Yeah,
I didn't realize. I saw on Twitter when it was announced that some Phillies fans were sort of, he tarnished it by asking to be traded, and he'll go in as a Card, I presume, right? He'll go in as a Cardinal. He won the World Series with him, didn't he? And most of his Gold Gloves.
Yeah, but he might go in as a Red. I don't know. I know he was really loved by Cincinnati, so it really depends on what he feels. But I think he's definitely not going in as a Phil. But
he came up through the Phil's ranks as well, didn't he? He was
right.
He was put in in August, made his debut in 1997. That time ago.
The year I was born.
Abreu, oh man, that makes me feel old. Abreu, 15.4%. J-Roll in his first year, 12.9%. The great at 2008 Phils has been putting so many fantastic stats about J-Roll on Twitter. and so many category leading stats as well on J-Roll. And come on, that vote 12.9, that's going to be rising throughout the years, surely. Do you see J-Roll as a Hall of Fame? I know Utley enters next year. Utley absolutely has to be in the Hall of Fame at some point very quickly. But do you see J-Roll doing it?
I'm gonna toss out a little bit of a bold take here.
Oh no, Alex, no.
I do think I cannot with confidence say that he will be a Hall of Famer. But I do think Jimmy Rollins at least deserves consideration. He misses the mark on a few counting stats, and he misses the mark, obviously, with total WAR. He at least deserves to ride out the ballot. That is my, that's at the very least. But I think Bobby Abreu has a better shot at the Hall than Jimmy Rollins does. And that's nothing to say my preference over the two players.
Yeah.
Bobby Abreu was unbelievable. Bobby Abreu was like a really, really good baseball player.
Again, before my time.
For whatever reason, he just does not get the love that, that any of these guys get. I don't know what it is, but I think he's one of those guys. I think both of these guys are guys that down the line, when they start to kind of like, come to their final years on the ballot, people are going to start campaigning for them. People are going to start showing you why they should be Hall of Famers. And I think hopefully, eventually, both get at least fair consideration. But as for Chase is a Hall of Famer. Chase is one of the
do you
best.
reckon first year in straight on, or do you think it'll take a couple of years?
I think it'll take him like 3 years, but Chase is a Hall of Famer without a doubt. One of the best second basemen ever played the game. Yeah. I mean, one of the best. And obviously, Jeff Kent is having a hard time right now, arguably the best second baseman of the modern era, at least, to ever play the game. But a lot of that had to do with character concerns and things of that nature. So I think Chase is going to have no problem, because Chase is one of the best guys ever to walk the field.
I hope so. For those that aren't aware of how the Hall of Fame ballot works, or new to the Hall of Fame, but new to the sport. So I believe if you get below 1% or 2% of the vote, that's it, you're out, isn't it?
It's actually below 5%.
5%, right? Yeah. Below 5%, you're out. What is the margin to get in? Is it 75%? 75%, and you get 10 years of legibility.
You got it. All right, Dave.
There you go. And it's so J-Roll's first year, if he keeps getting above 5%, he'll keep being up for debate.
Which a 12% turnout on your first year is pretty good. Especially as they start to face more and more ballots that will look a little bit grimmer. Next year's ballot is stacked, but the following ballots,
some big names
start to lose some luster. So, especially as time wears on, 12% of the vote now pretty much guarantees that they'll stay above that 5% margin, and they'll both ride out the ballot until at least their 10th years.
Absolutely. I was bored last night on my commute to work, and I thought I'd throw a tweet out there just to, get some interaction, just see where people's minds are at, and have some fun debate. I didn't realize the hundreds of replies I'd get back to this, and a really fun debate, and how passionate,
I missed this.
What passionate people got over this tweet. So I put out there yesterday, if you could choose any two former Phillies players at their prime to play for the Phils this year, who would they be?
Oh, you sent this to me.
And I did give you a prior warning to this, Alex. I said,
I've got my answers. Don't worry about it.
The obvious ones, a lot of people took a lot of thought into this. What does this year's Phils team need at their prime? Right. People went in all different angles. I love some of the responses and how passionate some people got over their choices. The main one, obviously, is Schmitty. Absolutely.
It's a no-brainer.
Him and Carlton were the lefty. They were the 1-2 predominantly. There's some great wood. Let's go through some of them. Okay, obviously, Smitty, lefty are the main ones. Steve Carlton, Cole Hamels is a combo from George. Utley and Mike Schmidt. Do you know what? Ryan Howard gets more votes than Chase Utley.
You know why that is.
Yeah, I know. I know. I
And
was
people
there
think
was
Ryan
a
Howard
theme starting
oh,
to
people think
emerge.
Ryan Howard was some defensive whiz at first base. Ryan was a terrible first baseman. He was
Well,
dreadful. He was a DH.
I think they were thinking more DH because the DH is here now.
Yeah, but we all know what they were thinking. They
Yeah.
were
Well, a
thinking.
lot of people were saying Schmitty at third, move Bohm to first, and Hoskins can either DH
Yeah.
or if they got Ryan Howard and he can do the same. Utley and Rollins said Travis. The Pandemic crew said Carlton and Bunning. Brad Lidge got a few in there. Carlton and Dykstra, Halliday and Howard. Halliday and Howard was quite a popular combo as well. Yeah, Schmitty. Where are the different ones? Cliff Lee got a few in there. Cole Hamill's got a few pitching. Because imagine if we had, Carlton and Hamills in that pitching rotation, it'd be lights out with Nola, Williams, Suarez. Game over.
It'd be pretty good.
Chase Utley, Steve Carlton, Utley Schmidt, Mike Chase, Halliday, a lot of Halliday at his prime. Gary Meadow, because he got upgraded at center field. Also, Ashburn got a lot because obviously a great leadoff center fielder. Makes a lot of sense.
Richie would be good.
Colton and Halliday, lefty and Ryan Howard. He had a lot of Ryan Howards. Some J-Roll in there. Good to see some J-Roll in there as well. I'm trying to find the different ones.
Actually, I guess Ryan Howard right now with the shift ban would be pretty good. I'm not gonna lie. That would be nice. That would be nice.
Yeah, without a doubt. That the shift ultimately just finished off his career quite quickly. Yeah. Raul got a few votes in there as well.
Oh, that's not a bad one.
Yeah, Robin Roberts and Richie Ashburn. But yeah, Alex, who would be your two? Let's see how much thought has been put into this one.
So I have two versions. I have one obvious version of like these are like the objectively correct responses, and then one of a little bit not so obvious. So my obvious one, obviously, I'm going with Doc for my first overall pick, because we don't know if Steve Carlton would translate into the 2022-2023 atmosphere.
This is what I was going to bring up. This is what,
right?
Yeah, go on.
So we don't know how exactly that would work. But we do know with Doc, first and foremost, surgical command, which is, akin to that of Aaron Nola. We know that always plays. So, and he throws a cutter as well, which is a huge thing in the Phillies' current organization. So I was like, Doc, if we're thinking realistically in 2023, makes a lot of sense. Cole Hamels, I think, makes a lot of sense in that same vein, but I tend to lean towards Doc. And then obviously, Mike Schmidt. It's just not it doesn't matter where you play him. Having that guy would be pretty great. But in terms of a not so obvious answer, first of all, I would pick Jason Worth. Because Jason Worth and Bryce Harper were very, very close. That is well known. But also, Jason was a good glove and a great hitter, especially in his prime. He had a prime to rival all Phillies primes. So that was my first little inkling. And my second one, I was going to go with Bobby Abreu. Just because
Bobby got some votes. Yeah.
Bobby... Again, just a massively underrated player, but you want to talk about a leadoff hitter. I mean, let me get his metrics up here because I want to tell the people just how good of a hitter and also a defender Bobby Abreu was. First of all, 60.2 BWAR over his entire career. But second of all, this man had a career 395 on base percentage. 395. He had five consecutive years of over a 400 on base, which was his prime, believe it or not, in Philadelphia from age 28 through 32. He had over a 400 on base percentage. And a year prior to that, he went 393, then 416, 446, 409. All while slugging above 500 in the majority of those years. And if batting average is your thing, he hit over 300 also a majority of those times. While stealing 30, 40, 22, 31, 36 bags, respectively, and hitting 31, 20, 20, 30, 24, and 15 home runs.
Jesus.
Now tell me you wouldn't like that bat at the top of your lineup in his prime.
Man, I so badly wish I was into the Phillies in those days and watched these players at the prime. Like the stats, just reading them there, it's just insane.
The unfortunate thing is that in Bobby Abreu's era, he was kind of overlooked because there were a lot of guys doing really flashy things.
Yeah,
Like Andrew Jones, the best defensive center fielder of all time. There's no question. Obviously, some off-field concerns, but best defensive center fielder of all time. There's not even an argument to be made. Um, Andrew Jones was lighting up the stage. Jim Edmonds had some really great catches in that era. Bobby Abreu just wasn't that kind of guy that you would see highlighted on Sports Center while you were getting ready for work the next day, brewing your coffee. Right? He just wasn't that guy. But he was. Oh, I just hit my microphone. But he was doing these unbelievable things, hitting, 20 plus home runs, stealing 20 plus bases every single year, walking as much as he strikes out a majority of the time, getting on base at a 400 plus
man.
clip for consecutive years. It's unreal. He had a prime that rivals the greatest Phillies primes. So those two guys I thought would be really interesting. Jason Worth from kind of a leadership perspective, but also from a, he would mesh really well with the clubhouse, and Bobby Abreu from just being one of the most underrated Phillies players of all time.
Yeah, well, I was going to go from what the players I've seen because obviously Schmitty is obvious and the greats. Larry Barrow got some nice nominations in there as well.
That's an interesting choice.
And Kruk got some. Well, you've just seen some of them.
Well,
Cody Ashe, and Michael
hey,
Franco.
Listen, John Kruk is not a bad choice, as it were. I mean,
I agree.
Guy could hit.
I was thinking pitching, and Halladay and Hamels for me in that rotation at their primes. It's game over.
Yeah, it's a no-brainer.
No one's beaten. Just do the parade. Get Paul Street ready. If those two in their prime were in that lineup, it would be phenomenal. Absolutely incredible. But just the 480 replies. It's just everybody going. If it isn't Schmitty or Carlton, then it's no debate. It shouldn't be debated. People really digging into what the Phil's needs are this year, people's own personal favorite choices and players from the time, some stories about their favorite players, bringing them back. It's been really, really fun to read them, and just it just sums up. It beautifully sums up the fan base and how passionate even talking about players and what two players you bring back brings out in the fans. It's just been amazing, absolutely amazing. Talking from the past to the future, spring training around the corner. The list of invitees is out there. Some more headline names, I suppose, and we'll let Alex go through the players that maybe not be so well known, but will be there. Mark Appel, great to see him on the list.
So glad he's back.
I hope he has a good spring because he could be, for me, a player that we could see feature a lot more in the bullpen next year. He was good. He did a job last year. He did a solid job. I was surprised he was never called back up after he went down again, to be honest. But the Phils wanted to keep working on him in the minors.
And he got hurt. He did get hurt. So there was a lot of questions surrounding whether or not he would be back with the organization. I'm very glad he is. Having spoken to him last year, I was worried that an injury, maybe, especially if it was a severe one, maybe could have, that could have been it. And I don't want to, speak in uncertainties here, but I was a little worried. I'd be lying if I was going to say I wasn't a little worried. And lo and behold, seeing his name on that list was awesome.
Fantastic.
Really awesome.
What an opportunity. What a story. Honestly, I really, really, it would be fantastic if he had a great spring and forced his way into that bullpen as well, because the depth then would just be incredible. Griff got the call up. Morales, what a merry-go-round that guy's having right now. Is he back on a minor contract now?
So he cleared waivers somehow. Yeah. I still don't know the whole. I've asked a whole bunch of people that would have knowledge of the situation, and none of them have any idea. So I'm assuming either, industry reports are just not what they should be on him, or maybe I don't even know. I don't have a reason. I can't believe he cleared waivers. He did, which is amazing for the Phillies. Gives them a really good piece of depth. But yeah, color me shocked.
Yeah. Scott Kingery still bouncing around.
Your man.
Still getting paid that big contract.
Big contract, Dave. He's making $4 million.
Yeah, a lot for a minor league player, mind you.
I mean,
but Kingery, I don't know. How old is Kingery now? He's still
he's
27, 26.
Are you ready?
It feels like he. I don't know. I would love Kingery to have a great spring. And
Dave,
try
I'm nearly positive Scott Kingery is 30 years old.
Already?
I am nearly positive.
Well, no, he cannot be. He cannot.
Okay,
where is that time gone?
He's 29. Pardon me. Or he's 28 and 272 days.
All right, 29 for argument's sake. Oh my
29.
word, Scotty, man, it's pretty much now or never for Scotty, isn't it? He needs a massive spring and try and get himself back into the conversation. Really, I just still can't believe how that's ended out. I really cannot believe what happened. That big contract, and since then, well, at the time it was a big contract.
It was a pretty awesome thing to see from a Major League Baseball team. I mean, because back then, when he signed that contract, there really weren't a lot of examples of contracts that guys, that prospects, literal prospects would sign. And then you go on to see, obviously Ozzie Albies was a bit of a different scenario and kind of was cheated out of a lot of money. But, he went on and signed a really team-friendly deal. Evan White of the Mariners went on and signed a really team-friendly deal. Yeah. There's been a whole bunch. And now, mind you, none of them have really worked out. Almost none of them. But I do think that with Scott Kingery, even though he seems so utterly broken, and I just mean in terms of baseball things, but even though he seems so, unfixable almost, I do think that there is reason to believe that he could get back on the horse. Obviously, he missed, I believe, most of 2021 with a shoulder injury. Missed a lot of. I think he was still rehabbing heading into last year. 2020 was the year that he kind of everything really fell apart. But the year prior, he hit okay. So, I'm not saying, put all your eggs in the Kingery basket, but definitely don't count him out at this point. Because the whole thing that happened was, he was studying with an independent hitting coach, and he was getting two different feeds of information, one from this hitting coach, one from the Phillies organization. It became really hard for him to, decipher what he should be doing, what he shouldn't be doing. He's only listening to the Phillies organization now. I can pretty much tell you that. So, hopefully he gets back on the horse this year and can kind of redeem himself a little bit. If not,
I would love it.
What's the harm? He's a free agent next year. So
yeah, I was going to say he's free agent this year, this year or the year after, isn't he? So it's this year he's a free. So yeah,
he can be bought out. Yeah.
Now or never for Scotty, and of course Abel and Painter, who were of course Painter topped the top prospects. Our guy, Andrew Painter. There was a good article by Alex Coffey in the Inquirer today about the people working with Painter, getting him ready for October. Like, this is blowing my mind.
Crazy.
They're preempting Andrew Painter to be going into October. There's a lot of talk now, and it seems slightly inevitable unless he doesn't have a great spring. I imagine that he's going to be in the rotation at the start of the season, isn't he? This looks at this point a little bit foregone conclusion. Everyone seems to have him in that rotation.
I kind of can't believe it, but at the same time, I think it makes a lot of sense. If he's really ready, why would you waste time with him in the minors? And on top of that, if he, this is a long shot, but if they can keep him healthy, if he were to win Rookie of the Year per se, and he started the year on the Major League roster, guess what? Phillies get a free draft pick. They get a free first round draft pick at the end of the first round. If they have a rookie win Rookie of the Year that started the year on the Major League roster. So Look, I'm not saying that's a lock, but if he goes out there and pitches 140 innings of his best baseball and can stay healthy the whole year, in a 6-man rotation where you can kind of stagger him and make sure he's going to be healthy for the
Yep.
postseason, et cetera, et cetera. Why the hell not? Why wouldn't you? Yeah, you're working with a light bullpen, but you've got guys that can pitch multiple innings. Bailey Falter can work out of the bullpen if need be, right? Like, I don't know. It doesn't seem like that bad of an idea to me.
It was interesting. They were saying, I've heard it a few times now, that it looks like to keep Nola, Wheeler, possibly Suarez fresh, it won't, it's common. It's going to be quite common to see these guys just go in the 5-6 innings at the start of the season, which makes sense. If we've got the bullpen to back it up, it will work well.
Especially after a long postseason run, and especially while you have somebody like Matt Strahm in your bullpen, who was up until a little bit of last year a starting pitcher. I don't see a problem with it. I don't see a problem with it at all. You've got like 7 guys that could viably start a game for you if Andrew Painter is on the opening day roster. So
yeah, absolutely.
I'm not going to knock it. I think there's no point in having him linger in the minors if he's fully ready.
Yeah, and Mick Abel was on that list as well. Was he 8? I think he was 8. He was two Phillies pitchers in that list.
8th on the top 10 right-handed pitchers in baseball. Painter was 5th best prospect in baseball. Abel was 5th. Or
like
5th.
One side of me is slightly cautious after what happened to Spencer Howard, but I feel he was really rushed up because we had nothing else and we needed him. Like, we threw him in with no armband straight into the deep end. It's like, there you go, Spencer. And the results were, well, there to be seen brutally in front of everybody. Now he's still at the Rangers, I believe. But the farm in general is growing. We've got some great international prospects by what everyone's saying. Everyone raving, yourself, Jack Fritz. A lot of people in the know seem to be all over STARLYN, CABA, the 17-year-old sensation, as some are calling him, from the Dominican Republic. This guy just seems to be the real deal, and 17 years old. Tells a little bit about what we could be seeing from CABA, because he's got from the notes I've picked up here, he's got plus speed, plus hit tool, above average arm, great high reviews. This guy, great glove, a comparison to Lindor. This guy is one of the best international prospects out there that we've just picked up.
Yes. I always tell people to tread very lightly when it comes to international prospects, because we really don't have a lot of information on them. The only people that have seen these guys play, at least the only people stateside that have seen these guys play, are like Sal Agustinelli and then a couple of scouts, right? That's it. So all the information we have is what like 3 pairs of eyes have reported. Yeah. But yes, STARLYN CABA is a big get, obviously in the international market. Was the 14th best ranked international prospect. I don't really listen to Pipeline, but it's definitely something to be excited about. His overall tools, he's obviously very raw, but everything is at least above average to plus. Outside of the power, which is expected to come, but that's going to be really interesting to watch. It's really interesting to see how the Phillies have been going about their international pursuits lately. Last year they signed William Bergolla Jr., who absolutely lit up, I guess it was the Dominican Summer League. He absolutely lit it up. I think he only struck out 3 times, walked 11 times, hit like 380 something. I mean, it looks great. The power is lacking, hoping to come along, but we all have to remember this is the same kind of, rave reviews we got about Luis Garcia, right? Luis Garcia, who's no longer with the organization.
True.
364 overseas, came over, did really well in Clearwater, and then kind of scuffled, So these are things that you take with a grain of salt.
But these are Preston Mattingly's guys who are watching these guys now, aren't they? Then Preston Mattingly, renowned as one of the best guys around in baseball to build your farm system back up. Proven, done it before. He's the 2 Taiwanese guys. Is it Ho Yu Lee and Wen Yu Pan, sorry. These two Taiwanese guys are getting rave reviews. A lot of people seem to be impressed with what the Phils are doing. Of course, UK's own Gabriel Rincones. You know, I can't wait to see what Gabriel can do this year. Hopefully, he can stay healthy. I wonder if he will be in the UK's GB's team for the World Classic. I hope so. It'd be great. But there's a lot of excitement. The farm is starting, and it's come from the bottom. Like, it was voted the 4th worst farm system in baseball just last year by the Athletic and by many. So it feels us trying, and it seems to be all the same player profiles, especially with pitchers, hard throwers, velocity, velo, command, trying to, not the finished product, but with the high velo there, they want to mold them into this just power arms, which is what this direction they're going in. You just feel that the Phils are from top to bottom really getting a fantastic structure in place to establish themselves as, dare I say it, and transitioning into a big team, a big market team. You know, it's taken so long. You know, it's taken years and years. But the Phils just seem to be moving in a direction that the massive development in Clearwater, $300 million being spent on
the lab.
The lab they're calling it, with the hitting and pitching lab, with free analysis, free mechanic. I don't know what these roles are. They look made up to me. You know, what is it? What is a mechanist for associates? It's open all year round. They're going to put a lot of the prospects in there. The Phils are developing and transitioning in front of our eyes to not only be just a flash in the pan last year, and you know, we had that spurt between 09 and 08, 09, and then sort of 2012 it tailed off, but the Phils want to be a big market team. They want to have last year and build on it for years to come, and it feels great. You know, the Phils, our team, our boys, you know, the team with the worst baseball, most losingest baseball team in baseball throughout the records, are transitioning in front of our eyes with the right people finally in charge, the right structure, and times for the Phils, for me, are exciting. I'm excited for this year, for next year, and going forward. I feel we're in good hands now. I don't feel we are going to have 2-3 years of a high and then boom, spike back to the bottom and then wait another 10 years to get back up and then back down. I feel the Phils can hopefully now maintain a high level. What do you reckon, Alex?
I agree with you.
Whoa!
But I do. I mean, look, the Phillies farm system is not deep. It's not.
It's still developing. Yeah, it's still a long way to go.
The top 17 prospects are strong. It looks good. And then it really falls off. But, and this is a big but, a lot of the guys that you mentioned are definitely guys that you want to watch this year. I mean, Hao Yu Lee, Wenhui Pan, who you just talked about, Gabe Rincones, right? Like, some of these guys, Hao Yu Lee
Crawford as well.
Justin Crawford, you know, you look at all these guys. Hao Yu Lee is the best hitter in the system, right? Just bar none. End of story. And this was a guy that they signed, you know, last year, who just absolutely, you know, it took 2 games for people to realize, holy crap, this kid is so real. You know, as far as Pan, I have no idea where to go with that. All I know is we have so much more information than I ever thought we'd have on any Phillies international signing ever when it comes to him. And boy, I love that pitch mix. He looks great. So that's a guy to get excited about, right? Gabe Rincones, probably one of those guys that like you look at and is going to have one of the better offensive years in a system that is dreadfully lacking, or not dreadfully lacking, but, you know, in real need of offensive talent, right? That's one guy to watch. Carlos De La Cruz came out of nowhere last year, right? So there's a lot of guys that you can point to and just get a little bit excited about, right? And while the system isn't deep, the development has gotten so much better to the point where now you look at the farm system and you say, oh, Drew Baker, that's a guy that you can look at, and he's going to be a big reliever, you know, should they need one, should someone go down. Oh, Andrew Schultz, that's a guy with potential. Oh, Tommy McCollum had the largest strikeout percentage in all of Phillies minor league baseball until he got hurt, and then Andrew Painter blazed by him. But
Yeah.
a lot of guys that you can look at and just say, wow, there's something going on here. And while I'm not going to tell you, this is on its way to becoming a top 10 farm system in all of baseball, because look, odds are most of these guys, Griff, Andrew Painter, Mick Abel, they're all going to graduate within the next 2 years, right? But that is a lot of major league quality help on the way. And that's for the rotation, for the bullpen. Now, the lineup is lagging a bit behind, but they've spent a ton of money on this lineup, right? They've filled this lineup with free agents. So as far as I'm concerned, they look pretty well set to compete for numerous years. And the payroll is structured in a way, too, where, a lot of these guys fall off
good
in 2
point.
to 3 years.
Yeah.
So they're ready to kind of build a new core. And that will be, with all these new prospects, et cetera. So while I'm not going to sit here and tell you that this team is the next Los Angeles Dodgers or the next, anything like that, this team looks significantly different than it did 2 to 3 years ago.
Absolutely.
And that is a big win for Philly fans everywhere, because everyone should be excited about the direction the Phillies are going right now.
Yeah, absolutely. And I feel as well we have the right men in all the right places, like Preston Mattingly,
like Dave Dombrowski.
Dave Dombrowski, who has just done everything he's already promised.
Like Rob Thompson.
Topper.
Whoever
Kevin Long. It's just the coaches just seem to be transforming players on the pitching side, on the hitting side.
Big shout out to
defending. The defense has been fantastic.
Yeah, Bobby Dickerson. Yes.
You've seen improvements in the season from Alec Boehm, from Castellanos. Brandon Marsh looks better defensively than what anyone imagined when he came in. That trade just gets better and better every time I see him. I really feel we got a great trade in Brandon Marsh. The direction, like you said, is trending upwards. Alex, I think that's a wrap. So we got pitches and catches reporting on the 16th of February. That's around the corner. It's just around the corner.
That's literally there. Almost 2 weeks away. That's like 2-3 weeks.
Oh, just the thing is about spring. The only thing that a little bit annoys me about spring is you watch all the footage. It's clear water, glorious sunshine, warm, and you look out your own window and you think spring is so far away. It's just it's always. I love watching spring training games. When you look at your own window, you see it hammering the rain. It's 5 degrees, and you're thinking, "Oh, come on, just bring that weather here. Get here soon, spring." But we are close. Full squad workout starting 21st. Spring training games about a week later. We are nearly there, folks, and we will keep you right up to date with what's happening with the Phils right here on YouTube, and we're on all your podcast providers as well as social media, Twitter, Instagram, Facebook group. Alex, where can we find yourself?
You can find me on Twitter at AlexCarMLB. I'm sure a lot of you already know me from there, but if you don't, come say hi. And you can also find me on Twitch, on twitch.tv. At Take a Balk. I have a Discord server where we talk a lot of baseball. It's a great time. So come find me over there. You can find me anywhere. Just look. It's great.
Type in Alex Carr.
You'll find him eventually.
If you like what you've heard or what you've seen, what you've watched, then hit the subscribe button. Tell your friends. Get everybody involved. Join in the debate on social media. I love reading all your replies, good and bad. Guys, you got to remember, I've only been following the Phils for 10, 11 years. My knowledge is nowhere near where some of you guys are. I love the interaction with you guys. I love reading all your replies and all your stories. So yeah, keep it coming, keep the debates going. We'll discuss as well what you guys are talking about on social media on the show as well. And we're going to ramp up to the new season. The shows will become more regular, more frequent as the season gets nearer. We've got you covered on here on YouTube, on social media, on the podcasts. We're just the beginning. As you can see, little graphics at the bottom of the screen there. It's all a learning curve at the moment for us as well as we're getting into the new season. So hope you've enjoyed the show tonight. From me, Dave Shaw, it is Ring the Bell. And from Alex,
ring the bell, Dave.
See you later, folks. See you next time.